back for the first time since the days of Rosicky and Nedved. Yes, Czechia are back at the World Cup, and can they spring a few surprises? Hello everybody, and welcome back to Full House Sports. Here myself, Charlie. A reminder before the video starts to please like, comment and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated as I try and become a one-man sports news bandwagon. Yes, Czechia is the latest team in my FIFA World Cup team guides, and they're a side that one of the last ones to qualify. Of course, they came through the playoffs, including denting or breaking the hearts of Irish fans when they beat them in the playoff final, which meant that they did advance to the tournament. Their manager, and actually it's a bit of a crazy story, their manager is Miroslav Kubek, who is a 74-year-old veteran of the game, who was actually brought in only in December 2025 to try and salvage their World Cup hopes. Czechia have recently been underperforming at tournaments. As I said at the top, they haven't actually qualified for the World Cup since 2006, when they went to Germany, and of course had a bit of a golden generation with Petr Cech, Thomas Rosicky and Pavel Nedved played out for the side. Now, of course, though, they have managed to get themselves back. They have been at the last two Euros, of course. They did get to the quarterfinals of Euro 2020. Last time out, though, at Euro 2024, they really did disappoint, finishing bottom of a group that also featured Turkey, Georgia and Portugal. And there's a feeling at the moment that they've been underperforming as a side. When they play, I think they're going to be reliant on set pieces. Now, anyone who watches the Premier League, when they are playing, they're a side that really does try and make the use of one of its advantages, which is its height. And of course, anyone who watches the Premier League knows all about Thomas Souček and his heading ability for West Ham. He is definitely a really important player for Czechia. And him alongside, of course, Patrick Schick as well, who himself is not small. They're going to be the players that maybe Czechia will look to in this group stage when they play against Mexico, South Korea and South Africa, and try and use advantage of that height that they've got to try and get the ball in the box, try and win the ball in the air, and hopefully, in their case, get a few goals off set pieces. As I spoke about players to watch out for, I think there's an obvious one. I think that is Patrick Schick. He loves a goal at a major tournament for Czechia. He has been absolutely fantastic for them. Of course, we all remember his halfway line goal against Scotland at Euro 2020, and he's still playing his trade at the top level in Europe. And like I say, players like him and I think players like him and Souček will be so important for this Czechia side. Another one, of course, though, they've also got some good young players coming through. Krejci, who is playing at Wolves at the moment, the centre-back, he's another one who they're probably going to look to in this tournament at centre-back to step up and be counted. And especially with a few players in terms of how Wolves season went, he's going to be a player probably looking to try and put himself in the shop window and try and get himself a move potentially after a World Cup, although there's already rumours that Leeds are interested in him. I think that they will finish, third or second in the group. Czechia and South Korea, I think, are quite interchangeable. I still think Mexico will top the group due to that home advantage. Of course, for the Czech fans, it's going to be some journey because they are going to be playing all their games in Mexico due to the fact that they're in Group A. So they're not going to experience the highlights of USA, but they are going to experience the fantastic culture of Mexico. There will be, though, of course, as for European teams, as for a lot of them, they are going to have to contend with that extreme heat, which is something that I think is being slightly underplayed for the European teams. I think maybe, especially when you go to places like Mexico, with the altitude as well, it's going to take a lot of acclimatisation. So I'm not saying that's going to be a factor, but I do think it's important to think about when we're predicting these groups is the European teams have got to acclimatise. They have got to get themselves used to these conditions because it's a Summer World Cup and it's going to be hot and humid. But like I say, I do think they'll get through. I think that they will probably, because of how many teams are getting through now in third, they probably will get themselves through. And then in the next round, I think they could see themselves knocked out in the round of 32, I guess it is. I didn't do a prediction for South Korea yesterday, but I think both them and Czechia will get knocked out in the round of 32. But it'll be really interesting to see, and it's good to see the nation back, because when you look at the players that they've produced historically, whether that was as Czechoslovakia or just the Czech Republic. So my final prediction is for Group A is Mexico top. I think I'm going to go South Korea second, Czechia third, and then South Africa at the bottom. Mexico, I think, will get to round of 16, and Czechia, South Korea, I think their tournament may end in the round. As always, guys, let us know what you think. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated as I try and become a one-man sports news bandwagon. As always, have a great day.